essay by Google VO.
A simple pencil, a powerful tool for progress and learning.
Welcome to The Immersive Lens, the podcast exploring the technologies reshaping how we live, work, and learn.
From AI and virtual reality to creative media design, we're diving into the tools and ideas shaping our connected world.
My name is Paul Engen. Join us as we uncover the people and ideas driving the next wave of interactive experiences.
And I'm Dave Gadoo. This is The Immersive Lens.
Hey, Dave, you look different today.
Do I look relaxed? Am I
it's very relaxed.
Yeah, I am on location in Florida.
Awesome.
Yes, we're scoping out a second studio for the Immersive Lens.
Oh man, you're giving it away. Everyone knows now. They're going to take over Florida.
And I do want to share with people, in case they didn't know, that the iHeartRadio Podcast Awards were just held. And not only did we not win anything, we're not nominated for anything.
Oh, geez. Next year.
But I do want to say that there is a category called the Best Ad Read, and that's for when you read ads. And so I think that's what we are going to be going for next year.
Excellent. And then, did you actually see any winners or anything?
I don't want to talk about the winners. It's kind of like it's too soon, Paul. It's
too soon. Okay. All right. It hurts. Okay. I get it.
Yeah.
What
do you got?
I was playing with a few things this week. One of the things that I played with was called Hyperscape. It's on the MetaQuest 3, and what it does is it allows you to do a 3D scan of a room, and it creates basically a digital double of that space. And then you can bring it into, right now it's for Meta Horizon, which unfortunately is going away. Meta
Horizon is the VR kind of gathering space for the Oculus.
Correct. It was something that they were building out, like a place that everyone can convene and you can have multiple people in one space, and you could have shared spaces. But I showed you. Were you able to see a demo of it that I created our studio?
Blew my mind because of the rich detail. In that studio, there's a lot of different protrusions and furniture and wires, and wow, it was fantastic. It captured them all.
Yeah, it was so good. I let one of the students that are familiar with the studio use it, and they were like, "Oh my, this is the studio. This is like." It was. They were just blown away by how real it was.
It really looked to me not like CGI or 3D. Like this was a new technology. It looked like it was video to me. I couldn't tell that it wasn't.
Yeah, it uses like photo. Is it cloud clustering or photo?
Nerd alert.
Topology. It uses a certain technology where it's very dense, and it uses a bunch of photos for the textures. So it I don't know how usable it is outside of this creation, because it's so heavy heavy meaning large file. It took 8 hours to process. So it gives you a scope of how much data is being created from that, Wow. But it was really cool to see that you could create something that realistic. And after I did that, I read the press release, and then I was like, oh my gosh, just as I got my hopes up, I was like, oh. And the cool thing about this is I could invite like multiple people into that space even now. so that they could get into that studio. But I want to do a little bit more than just us hang out in the studio. It'd be nice to make things interactive and integrate it into more of a coursework, if that makes sense.
It does. And I think this really opens a door into possibilities of what we might do for online education, bring everyone into the same space, like a lab or something like that. So I was just blown away. I just was not expecting to have that fidelity that it did.
Yeah, I was really happy with it. And then the other thing, since we just got off of this, is if you remember OpenClaw.
Yeah, I remember OpenClaw.
NVIDIA so go ahead. Do you want to explain what that is?
That was, we had talked about, we had an emergency pod, and we talked about, it's basically an AI agent. You let it loose on your computer and has unfettered access to everything. And on a good day, it will do exactly what you want it to do.
Yeah. And so NVIDIA is really getting behind this, and they're doing their own version of OpenClaw that's going to be a little bit more secure, but they see this being the future. He even talked about it being, the new operating system, which you alluded to in a previous episode.
Yeah, that's where you will work, is in the AI platform,
right? And so it was interesting how they positioned it. So basically, they've created their version of OpenClaw that will have access to their models, and it has guardrails, and it has a little virtual sandbox. So it has a little bit more control. And obviously they're trying to target more enterprise or business versus OpenClaw, which is just do whatever you want. But it was interesting because, now it's gone mainstream, right? You go from this open source platform, people are really getting into it, to now NVIDIA, which is the largest hardware company right now. I think it's actually the largest company in the world. It is utilizing the same technology now and piggybacking off of that for enterprise and business.
Yeah, and this is an indicator to me that this is a big paradigm shift now. Now it's been normalized, and it did not take long for full-throated agential AI to be normalized. So that I'm interested to see what happens.
Yeah, my only drawback to this is that you're isolated to using just their LLM models, and I think they only have 4 of them.
Yeah,
and you have to pay per token that's being used. So you see their pay model being integrated into this versus OpenClaw, which is completely open source. You can get an open source downloaded model, and you don't have to keep paying, the additional tokens for its use, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and the tokens are basically, this is a gross distortion, but it's the currency you use, or the blocks of information you use to process things. It's not, it's something. And New York Times did just run a piece, and I'll put this in the notes, about token maximizing, where people are bragging in Silicon Valley, like how many tokens they're burning through in a week. Yeah, so this is in some respects like a sign of I think it's a proxy for productivity, but it really is just might be a proxy for waste. An engineer, OpenAI, processed 210 billion tokens, enough text to fill Wikipedia 33 times over 1 week. And so this is costing companies like up to $150,000 a month per employee. That's token maximizing.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's bonkers.
Yeah, and even you were hesitant, like you said, I'm putting $5 down, and I'm going to do a AI agent for open. You did it with ChatGPT last episode,
yeah, I
right?
Use it, yeah, and I'm token minimizing.
That's right.
But I did want to also share that we are hot off the heels of the AI for Marketing event here at FLCC, where we had 80 people from. This was an in-person event. And we had some AI experts. We had a keynote from Adam HB from the college, who we all know. And it was a gathering of people who wanted to learn more about how to use AI in marketing. It was a fantastic event.
Yeah, it looked like it. That the place was packed. You had a lot of good sessions going on. It
had a good panel.
That's right. I believe Laura was on that panel, who is heading up the marketing department in here.
Yeah, friend of the pod.
FSLC. Yeah, friend of the pod. We got a lot of friends of the pod.
We do. And we are doing our big June convening again. That's going to be June 10th, I believe. It's on the website, and that's going to be room for 300 people. And folks, listen, you got to get your tickets now, because let me tell you, in addition to all that great AI stuff that the FLX AI Hub runs and offers, this will have, well, actually, I don't want to make any promises, but I can tell you last year and also at the marketing event, we had the Oreo muffin or the s'more muffins, which are just out of this world.
That's right. I still have yet to have one of those. So,
oh my gosh, you got it. Well, listen, you better be there the June 10th event. Get there early.
I know. I'm going to. Anything else, or?
I do. I know we were talking about fonts, and I've been that's really been knocking around in my head. We did an episode about fonts. We were talking about things. So I'm reading a book called The Psychology of Fonts right now. And I just want to let you know, I'm just going to read this one passage that I highlighted. Helvetica is the bona fide celebrity of the typeface world. This divisive typeface has been close to total domination since the 1960s. So that's the kind of the rigor that we're talking about when we talk about the psychology of fonts.
That's awesome. Yeah, Helvetica is just, it's got so many weights to it, and it's so easy to read. It's a sans serif font, so it doesn't have the decorative elements, so it works on mobile. It's Have you read this book? Did you write this book? No, I did not. But we talk about Helvetica and the different font families and the evolution of typography, basically. You can see how it evolved from like old style to transitional, and it's just from the scribing of the church, like when they were writing the books. Mm-hmm. That's the old style, where it was kind of defined, that thick style, and it went into transitional and so on, modern and sans serif. And so we talk about it a lot in design classes. And we have a typography course here at Finger Lakes Community College as well now too.
There is not. There's really
yeah.
They were talking about this study with jelly beans where they gave identical jelly beans to two different groups, and they were labeled with "Eat Me," but the font was like a rounded font for one, and it was like a jagged font for the other. And the people in so it was the same jelly beans. The people with the jagged font perceived the jelly beans as more sour than the other group. So the font's really like
perception. Yeah, that is crazy.
PSA by Google VO.
A sharp pencil for a sharp mind.
So, Dave, why don't we get into the
I want to talk more about fonts. No, that'll be next episode.
That's right. So we'll continue the series. We talked about, our first episode was on OpenAI, and then we talked about Claude. And today we're going to talk about what I think is one of your favorites. I know it's one of mine, I think. It's Google Gemini and the Google Family app. So right now, I was thinking we could break it down into a few categories. We'll call it the brain, the interface, or what people are usually interacting with most of the time, the builder side of things, and then the creative, like media development side of things. And then we can kind of go from there. Does that sound like a plan?
That sounds like a great plan.
Do you want to talk about what the brains of this whole operation is and what the name of this Google thing is and whatnot?
Sure. So Google Gemini, it used to be Google Bard when it first came out, and it's come quite a long way. Google Gemini is their LLM, so much like ChatGPT or Claude. And this is where people go to use AI. And there's kind of three modes. So when you go to gemini.google.com, you can choose between fast, thinking, and pro. There's like a little drop down. And fast is when you want like real fast answers. You're not doing like real deep thinking. You just need, some, and this is the default, and it's usually actually really surprisingly good. But the next step is Google thinking, is Gemini thinking, which is an appropriate trade-off, I think, for speed and intelligence. This is kind of where I live for most of my daily driver stuff. And then pro is when I really need to when I need to crunch down, do some maybe programming, or if I'm doing some images, I might use Google Gemini Pro. And this is where the deep reasoning happens. And if you want rich responses, then just flip it down to Pro.
And with each of these, they take more resources for the process. Is that right?
So if you're on the freemium plan, you might not have as much Pro bandwidth as you want. Tokens,
yes, and we talked about that earlier. Yes. So just keep that in mind, that you don't want to just default to Pro or Thinking or Deep Think, because you want to make sure that, especially if you're in the freemium version, that you're utilizing it for, I think, like you said, most of the time the fast is fine, but if it's not getting the results that you think you might want, or if you want it to be really more thoughtful about what you're doing or processing, then you can kind of move toward those other models. Does that sound right?
Yeah, that sounds right. And there also is that like deep research one as well. And Claude and ChatGPT both have them. I think we talked about that. But the deep research is where you can task it to go figure out kind of a messy problem where we might have to look at 150 different websites. And I find that this one is the best of the three, in my opinion. And, you can get like a 20-page reply or report.
And this one might be thinking behind the scenes, right? This is like, I could set it, maybe I have a molecule study that I'm doing, and it's looking at, thousands of data points or millions of data points, and it's just processing it. And then I'm moving on to the next task while it's still processing.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, you can work on your own thing.
Gotcha.
So the interface, this is where people feel it. This is what do you mean by that?
So the interface is what most of us will interact with most of the time. So in this case here, if you go to like Gemini, the actual app, the chatbot, that is what we'll call the interface. So we engage with it in many different ways. And most of the time, people will just go to Gemini. Is it gemini.google.com? Is that the?
It is, yeah.
And they'll just enter the chat, and that's how they'll engage with it. Other people will use it. It's kind of, if you go to, if you use Chrome, if you're in Google Doc or Gmail, you might see Ask Gemini at the top of your browser if you've enabled it, and you can engage with it that way. So there's a lot of engagement points here for the users. And when you're inside of it, then you can choose which brain you might want to use, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It makes perfect sense. And do you use it on your phone, by the way? I'm just curious.
So I'll be honest with you. I do not. I use ChatGPT on my phone and Copilot on my phone. And then I use Google and Claude and ChatGPT on my laptop. So
okay.
How about you?
That deserves a whole nother episode. I use Gemini when I'm driving. I'll talk with it. I think it's the best for interaction with voice. If I'm like driving, I'll say, hey, I want to learn more about port knocking, and we'll have a conversation about it, and I can ask a lot of questions. I started using Claude because I do a lot of design work, like instructional design work, and you can have a short conversation, but then it's like, okay, now I'm going to go build it, and that takes a long time. So now I do that on mobile. So then when I get to the computer, it's already built, and but whenever I'm doing any type of programming, I'm almost exclusively doing it on the computer. Although since I was traveling, I was doing them both. I was doing Claude and Gemini on my phone for programming, and which is a nice litmus test, because when you're making a web page, for instance, or web app, it renders it on mobile because you're holding the phone, so you can see how it behaves on mobile, which is always a good barometer of how the app's working. So I find that I think I'm trending more towards some type of whatever device in my hand is what I'm going to be using.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing that you just brought up, which is really nice, is that conversational element, the multimodal approach to discussion or engagement with these AI systems. I think they all have a form of it, but I think people are so used to just typing prompts, and they forget that they could just have a conversation. They could hit the mic and just talk.
Yeah, and I find it to be a little bit richer, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's because the topics I happen to be talking about are academic, like I'm always wondering about things, or if it's because it's a little bit faster, or if the voice is natural. I don't know. we'll have to, years from now, we'll be reading books about the psychology of chatting with a chatbot.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting you brought up the phone, because I know at one point I was doing some traveling, and I tasked ChatGPT to build something for me. And then I got on the plane. And then when I got off the plane, you okay? Uh-oh. We lost our host.
We're good. I'm good.
We'll have to bring him back up.
All right, you were on the plane.
So we were on the plane, and when I got off the plane, I went, and it was processing while I was on the plane. So it was like working.
Yeah, it's great, right?
Like modeling and doing all the stuff. And I get a little Wi-Fi moment, and then I ask it, because you can get Wi-Fi on the plane. So periodically I'd be asking it to do things. But for the most part, it was just working in the back end, which was kind of interesting. And then I was able to get on the computer and see the results. So,
yeah, and I think that's really lightweight agential AI. And I know we're not talking about agential AI, and it's not quite ready for the people yet. But that's what it's going to be like, where it's like, I'm giving you a task, you do it, and then when I'm ready, I'll come back and the task will be done.
Yeah. So we see Gemini as a really the app itself as like the entry point. Google Docs is integrated, and again, it makes it. And I'm using Chrome right now. I use Chrome for my web browser, and I have an Ask Gemini button at the top right, so I can just click it. It's very easy to access. And one thing I'm realizing is that Google has an advantage right now, that it's really integrated into almost the daily tasks. So I can just open up a Google Doc. I can click on the Chrome Ask Gemini. When I do a Google search, it pops up, and I can ask for it to, think about it more. So it's integrated already. I don't need to do anything special, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the ways, that's their strategy, their market domination for AI. Because when I'm in Google Docs, I'm typing, I can right click on a paragraph, and Gemini's like, would you like me to rephrase it? Do you want it shorter? Do you want it longer? Or when I'm in Google Slides and I need an image, I can just go to hit the nano banana button and be like, I need an image of this, and it will do it, or it will make a whole slide for me. So you can't find that in a lot of, like, ChatGPT just doesn't have that integration, and Claude has it, but it's very specific within, say, Excel and Word. And I think it's so convenient. You're right. And especially with the search, it's just dominating search now.
And so I think that, to be honest with you, Google is one of those things where even if you don't know it, you probably are using Gemini, because it's just so integrated. So it's in Gmail. If you open up Gmail and you start using it, there's a little icon that you can click on. You can right click. It's just, it's seamless. It's a very low barrier. We talk about that a lot.
Barrier, baby.
There's no, I think with some of these other platforms, you have to install a plugin, or you have to install an extension, or you need to. But Google, and this is one of their advantages, is they already have a lot of these platforms web-based, and they just integrated it. This is just another feature, quote unquote.
Yeah.
That's part of their product line.
And you can see it. You can see it bleeding over. So Nano Banana was first in Gemini, and they're like, let's just throw it in Google Slides, because that's where people are going to need it. And Gemini, one of the least known things about Google Sheets, which is like their version of Excel, is normally you do in formula, you'd be like equals concatenate, and then you're like A2, comma A3, and that's how you include the two. So now you can literally type in equals AI and then parentheses, and then you just say in plain language, take this information and separate the spaces. So this would be like a split function, and then you just give it a range. So you can just explain what you want it to do, and it does it.
Oh, and that's already integrated?
Oh yeah, it's been there for a year or two. It's insane.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't even know that. I've been still doing the split calls,
what a chump, man.
I didn't know I could just do plain text.
The limiting is the 2000 late, buddy.
Man, I'm behind. Well, I will tell everybody, Dave is a guru at Google Docs. He's your Google guy.
Can I give you a pro tip too? So Hunter, who's the accessibility gentleman in the college, put out an email last week talking about email signatures and just giving us pro tips on how to do make our signatures accessible. And he was talking about the colors and the fonts and everything. So I was like, okay, I should do this. So I was doing it today, And a lot of people don't even know this exists, but there's in the Google Suite, there's something called Google Drawings, which is like MS Paint, except more modern and much more practical. So one of the things that you can do, so I'm going to try and explain this. I took an avatar of me, okay? And I put it in Google Drawings and I made it a square. And so it's just an avatar. I was like, it would be nice if that was in my signature. So the old way of doing it was you would download it as a PNG, go into your signature, include it. But Google Drawings has this really unique feature where you can embed the drawing from Google Drawings. So you don't have to download it. You can just gives you a URL. You got me so far?
Yeah. So basically, rather than it being an image attached to the email, it's actually a reference to an image in the cloud.
Correct. And here's the bonkers part. Because it's a live image, I can change it. And that image changes in the email. So consider this. Maybe during Halloween, I put like a pumpkin on my head instead. Every email I've ever sent will now have a pumpkin on my head. So if you recall an email from 2 or 3 months ago, it will be the live version of it. And so you can use that trick.
It's like a live image. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you can do it for seasonal. You can do it for, say, conferences. I know you shouldn't have text and images, but in the past I've seen we use that for a countdown to a conference. So if you in the lead up to the conference, we'd send 10 emails, and all of them would have this at the bottom. So no matter what day you were looking at it would be like, the conference is in 3 days, the conference is in 2 days, whatever. We just keep updating that image. But we don't do that anymore because you shouldn't have text as images. But this also works for all sorts of things. So that's one of the...
Very cool.
I know.
That is really cool. So obviously we have Gemini that's integrated into all the Google Docs platforms, whether it's Sheets, Docs, Forms. They got Google Vids, they get Google Drawings, they have Slides, tons of different suite of production applications that are equivalent to like Microsoft Office.
Mm-hmm.
They also have NotebookLM. Do you want to talk a little bit about NotebookLM?
I do. So, and I'll start off by saying Lindsay Shaman-Zeller, who works in the college, is our NotebookLM guru. She just knows everything about it. In fact, she just did a webinar, so I'll put that link to the recording in the show notes here on NotebookLM. But imagine a trapper keeper that's digital, and so you might put all your math notes for an entire year in it, and NotebookLM, so you upload all your notes, or it could be links to, it could be Google Docs, it could be PDFs, it could be YouTube videos, it could be websites, and that becomes your source of truth for this particular notebook. And then there's a chat in it, and you can ask it questions. It will only give you answers based on the information that you've uploaded, so you get almost no hallucinations. Most of the time, if it doesn't know something, it'll say, I don't know the answer to that. It's not in these documents. But when you do ask it a question, 99.9% of the time it does know. And it will give you footnotes and be like, click here if you want to see exactly where and which document this information came from. And then there's also this whole media pane where you can generate slides based on it, or you can generate a podcast or videos. And now if you have the Ultra plan, you can do cinematic videos. So it's not just explainer videos. And they have all sorts of other media things that you can create. I will say this, though. I think those are good starting points, but you can't edit the slideshow, and you can't edit the video, and you can't edit the podcast. So to me, that kind of, I tend not to use them. They're great in a pinch, but that's not usually my end game when I'm making a slideshow or a movie.
Well, I really like NotebookLM because it's closed. I still would not put personal information in there, but it is not trained on, and it is strictly used in isolation.
Yeah, it's fantastic, right?
And so you can feel a little bit more confident when you're putting stuff in there for your research, because I think that that's something that it's really good for, is that you can have a lot. You could put, like, if you're doing a research paper and you want to kind of build diagrams from it, you can have it look through your research paper and just isolate it to that, versus having search the web randomly on different things. But the other thing that I really like about it is it's an opportunity to get different modalities of learning. So when I'm talking to people in the college, I say, what you could do is you could actually move your entire PowerPoint or your anything that you're going to be lecturing on to the NotebookLM and have it create a podcast. And then you can move that podcast up to whatever LMS you're using. And then students can learn from that. I know I learned from hearing, like I could be driving and it could be having the conversation about whatever lecture that you just went over. And it's just a different way of learning, and that people can, ingest the content, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So it's this multimodal approach for different learning preferences. As you were talking, I did forget that you're right. It doesn't train on the data, but I also just double checked, and you can get the cinematic videos with the Pro account. You don't need the Ultra account, which is $150 a month. You can do it for Pro, which is the typical $20 a month.
Yeah. Have you used it? I tried to do a video. It was okay. It was okay, but I'm more of a video style maybe, but it was okay. Again, I think it's just amazing what it can do now. It can create diagrams, and it can create charts, and it can create interactives, and it's just so many different things you can output to. You can do a slide deck from it. You can do mind maps, flashcards for studying infographics. Yeah. The flashcards and quiz questions are really, really interesting. If I were taking another class, I think I would certainly use that feature. Yeah, so I definitely think if you're an instructor that wants different modalities or different things that can be pulled from a previous lecture, just refresh it. I would definitely put it into here and see what it produces. It's a low-hanging fruit that can really garner, I think, a nice return, if that sounds right to you. Oh, and it does. And as you were talking about interactives, there's something I want to say about the Gemini app, which I haven't seen in the other one. So the Gemini as a chatbot. When you do a deep research, which is, again, like say you have this wicked problem in Canandaigua, we're like, it doesn't matter what it is. You're going to task it. It's going to go find 150 different websites and give you a report that's very, very detailed. Once you go to share it, or there's a create button, and you can create an infographic from that. You can create a website from it, and you can create an interactive element, which is really, really slick, because then you can share it. So it's not just a static 20-page report. You can certainly give that, but you can also now give this website or give this interactive thing where people can click and expand. It's really fascinating. And that just bleeds over to all their other AI technologies that are embedded everywhere. And I think that's where the power of Google comes in, right? Because you could have, let's say you've been working on this research project with NotebookLM for a long, long time. Well, then you can link that NotebookLM into any other of these modules. If it's the Gemini app, if it's one of the Google they all talk to each other with no new extensions, no new plugins, nothing. It just natural. It all just works together. Yeah, it's fascinating. And I know that we kind of alluded to Google Drawings, Google Vids, Google. These are all different applications that you can use for development, and they have Gemini integrated into it. And there is a thing called Google Labs that has all of these tools that you can access. And there's a lot more. We're just scraping the surface, and they're releasing new apps. I almost say every other week, to be honest. It's just crazy to me how many things they're developing. It's like every other hour, Paul. Like I swear, every time I open my browser, like, oh, here's a new thing. And the Google Labs, and the link will be in the episode description at the website as well. The Google Labs, it's just all their beta testing. It's fantastic stuff. And you can see where we'll lead into their future products. Yes. And I'm almost certain if there is something that you're thinking about as far as, I wish there was a AI app that did XYZ, I'm almost certain if you go to the Google Labs, you will find that what you're looking for, because they have so many different things there. I mean, have you seen the one where it's like you can create any font you want, and I'm like, I want a font made out of eyeballs, and then it will create, there's an AI tool for that. And then there's also Opal, which is an AI tool for making AI tools. It's just,
I'm actually looking through the list of them right now, and there's all sorts of things that I didn't see last week. Holy smokes! So these labs are really, really cool.
Yeah, so I definitely suggest that all the listeners go check out Google Labs and see what's there. And just to keep this moving, we might come back to Google Labs, but what I want to do is I want to get into more of, I guess I'll call it our realm, the builder layer of Google Gemini, or where power users might start using this. And I think those are the tools that are like AI Studio, which is basically a developer toolkit that allows you to create agents and create. It's equivalent to, I would say, like almost the Codex or Claude Code.
This is there's one thing that is absolutely fantastic about this, and I would suggest to listeners you go check out AI Studio because it is powered by AI. So in Codex and in Claude Code, I could say make a web app that's a clock timer or whatever. It requires AI to build it, but it's not powered by AI. With AI Studio, which is free, you could say make an app that is a chatbot. And so now it's created by AI, but it's powered by AI, it has intelligence. So when you go to it, you can roll it out and it has AI in the app that you can use. And it's free. It's for rapid prototyping though, so it's not really for scale.
Yeah, but it gives you access to a lot of things. You can do a lot of connections to it. It's very extensive. You can get API keys, so you can actually build AI related apps as well, and you can test it in this environment. So again, it's more of that developer side of things, but I think it's a really great platform. Along with that, there is the Vertex AI, which I haven't really used. Have you seen that?
That's like if you build something in AI Studio, and you're like, oh, I want to monetize this or I want to make it big, then you move it to Vertex AI, but then you're paying for it. So Vertex AI is great for, even if you don't know anything about programming, you can probably get something up and running. Vertex AI is like really, you kind of have to have some background knowledge before you start doing that. But I do see on the list that you put on here Firebase, which is their database storage system. Probably half the apps on people's phones are powered by Firebase. But this goes back to your point about just their wide integration portfolio. So with Claude or Codex, you say, build me an app. Say you want to make like a contacts book or like a phone book or something. It needs a database. So now you have to like go through the rigmarole of setting up, finding a database online that you can set up. But with Gemini or Vertex or AI Studio, any of these coding ones in Google, you can say, I'm setting up an app like it's a phone book. And it'll say, oh, let me set up this Firebase for you because I own Firebase as well. And so it's just this vertical integration that is fantastic. And it's so flawless and painless.
Yeah, and it's just, everything is just so integrated. It's crazy to me.
Yeah.
And then they have anti-gravity, which is it's their basically, I guess this is more equivalent to their Codex, where it's more of a programming, and it can take over some jobs on your system and take over a folder and add and do things, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so you can think of it as, generally speaking, most AI assisted coding, there is a tool that's out there. Visual Studio Code is probably the most popular, and Claude Code will sit in there, or you can put Codex in there. You can also put Gemini in there. But anti-gravity is that tool built from the ground up with AI. So it thinks about things a little differently, has different access. So it's interesting. And actually, if you go to labs, you'll see something called Jules, which is their predecessor to it. So you can see again the evolution through the labs of where they are now.
So, and again, with the anti-gravity, it's tough because I use Visual Studio Code, like you mentioned, and I have Claude hooked into there already, and I have OpenAI hooked into there already, and I have Copilot. And so I use anti-gravity on its own. I don't have it hooked in, but obviously in Visual Studio Code, you can make your selection on which model you want to use for your programming. Have you used anti-gravity, or do you?
I haven't yet, because I've been using Claude Code so much.
Yeah,
probably on my radar, especially in the vibe coding course. So our next move is going to AI Studio, and we're going to look at anti-gravity before we're done throughout the semester. So I will be checking it out, and I can report back at a later date.
Sounds good. Yeah. And I've done a little testing with it and I've been doing a little programming with it, but it's kind of cool that it has you can give access to a specific folder and it can do searches in there. It could do whatever you want in that folder. So I think in that respect, it's kind of a nice integration. So those are all the development tools, and I don't want to get too nitty gritty into those tools because it's really for a specific audience. But they have, again, this ecosystem of Gemini is just, they all can I'll call them cross-pollinate. They can talk to each other. They can, you can have one piece start here and it can share. It's just so crazy how well it's integrated. So it's going to be a tough one to beat for people.
Yeah. It's always there and it always works great.
And then this leads to more of my realm, which is the creation and media development.
And before we do that, Paul, I think we just need to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back, folks.
Sounds good.
In a world of digital clouds and oops, I deleted it, choose the original hardware, the number 2 pencil. It's got a core of graphite, a heart of wood, and built-in undo button that actually works on paper. No charges, no software updates, and it never asks for your password. When number 1 is too soft and number 3 is too hard, reach for a number 2 pencil. Number 2 pencils, we're number 1. Okay.
And that's our sponsor. Excellent.
That's our sponsor. Thank you. That's our first sponsor.
Awesome. I love it. Number 2 pencil, everybody.
Yeah, we're going for the best ad read. Best ad read.
That was. Now we got it.
We got it. So now we should get that nomination and probably the trophy.
That's right. So the last area that Google has is, and I think this is an area that some other ecosystems don't have, which is the media creation aspects. So when I talk about media creation, imagery, video, music, they have it all. So
yeah, and you're the guru here. So walk us through. And my biggest question is, can you describe the difference between VO and Flow? Because I hear those interchangeably. I don't think they're the same.
Yes. So VO is the model for video in Gemini. So if you're creating, if you want Gemini to create a video, you would pick the VO model. And depending on when you're listening to this, it's VO3, VO3.5, VO4, VO5. It'll be iterative, right? But it's basically, you can go into any of the Gemini chats and you can select VO as your as the LLM inside of Gemini, and you can have it create a video intro. And then that's what it'll create. And then you can have it produce whatever videos you want, right? But it's tough to do any continuity, meaning if I had a character and I wanted that character to go from one scene to the other scene to another scene, it has a difficult time with that because it's recreating it. It's referencing maybe another video or it's referencing an image, but it's creating it from scratch every time, if that makes sense. So it does a really good job at doing single videos, if you can picture that.
Sure.
So prompt for a single video.
So if I were looking to do, say, a single video for the number 2 pencils ad, I might go to Gemini, click on video, and make a sweet ad.
Yes. Now, it's going to be limited. So this is where you might add flow to it, right? So you might start with VO, it might create something, but then you might go to flow. And flow is where you'll be able to put the first frame and the last frame in, and then it will create the in-between. So then you can prompt and you can say, I want character A to go from here to here, skipping. And then you'll see that character skipping to that.
That's insane.
So then at that point, what we could do is we could use another one of their media creation tools, which is Nano Banana, which is their image creation tool. And again, you would select this as one of the drop downs in Gemini. So if you want to do image creation, you pick Nano Banana, and then you would say, create a fun number 2 pencil for me, excited to be used. And then one with someone holding the pencil in the hand doing a drawing. And then I would take those two stills, bring it into Flow, and then I could transition between those two.
Jeez. That's
So
and I think in episode 5 of our podcast, you might want to go back and listen. That was a holiday one where you do a kind of an exhaustive look at Flow and the trials and tribulations of it.
yes. And they've integrated Nano Banana even more into Flow. So now rather than what I was doing is I was going into Gemini and I was using Nano Banana, creating the images, then downloading it, bringing it into Flow. Now it's integrated. Again, it's that they're integrating everything together. Yeah. So now I can just live in Flow and create.
So now you don't have to go somewhere else to generate the first and last image. You can just put it in you can do that in Flow.
Correct. And so Nano Banana is integrated in just about every Gemini platform now, right? So I think you mentioned you can go into Google Slide or Google Vid, and you can use Nano Banana to create an image for you.
Yes, it lives exactly there, and I actually do that quite a bit, more than I thought I would. And also in Google Vids, you can create an image or a video. So Google Vids again is their kind of like video creation. So if you're doing instructional videos, and normally that would be me recording myself and I'm putting in there and putting maybe text on there or whatever. But now you can also create like the B-roll footage and just say like, I need a picture, I need a video of someone sharpening a pencil while I'm doing the talk over. And then it'll just generate it. It's right there.
Yeah, it's amazing. Before you'd have to go to a royalty-free site, look for, do a search for a pencil, and then look for illustration or photo. And now rather than doing that search, you just type in what you want and it'll generate it for you, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah. And I do recognize, I think we do need to point out that we're both acutely aware of how this is changing, say the industry of photographers, videographers, stock footage companies. This is the nature of the beast. It's not a circle that I can square, but I do recognize it, and I do what I can to support local artists and when I can.
Absolutely. And I think that it's important to know that one of the things that you can do is you can still go to these royalty-free sites, or you can go to a stock photo site, and you can still do everything that you were doing before. And maybe that is where maybe the AI is not producing exactly what you're looking for, and that's what you have to do. I know this sounds really weird, but sometimes specific things will require you to do things in the real world. So like for us in that holiday production, I wanted a drone clip of the college, and you can't get AI to do that. So Jeff had the drone, took it up, and it was snowing. It was perfect. And I used that as a still image. So if you picture in Flow, that was my starting image. And then he flew it in, and then I took that last image, and then I Nano Bananaed it to be claymation. And then I brought those claymation images into Flow, and then it created that transition of the drone flying into the school. Or actually, I think it was flying out. I think it was our out.
It was flying out, yeah.
Yeah, it was flying out. But you can't Nano Banana that, right? Because it doesn't create the school in its actual form. So I needed that base image first, which is what we went and shot, and we did. And then I used Nano Banana on that to stylize it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so there's just another reminder that you still need the human element to do what you did. And even if, and again, like when you watch that video, it was like 2.5 minutes. You're like, oh, that's made it with AI. It must have been super easy, but it took 60 hours because you need to do things like that, and you need to have your expertise, and you need to like understand cinematography.
Right, and so I think it's just another tool.
Yep, another tool.
Use the tool. And I think the other one that is Lyra. Did I pronounce that right? Lyra? Lyra?
Is this the lyrics? What is this one?
This is the music.
Yeah, so this is baked into Gemini now. You can say, write me a song about this, and it will write it. So Imogen, which is actually Nano Banana, is baked into Gemini. Veo is baked in. So now it's calling Esquire. So if you ask it to write a song, it will invoke Lyria, but you won't know that. It will just spit out a song for you.
That's awesome. And so now you can create music and songs. And we were, again, I think Google is in an amazing place right now because it's got all of these applications and integrations, and they have both creative media asset development, tons of different applications that you can use. And it all works together. So they have that advantage over those other ecosystems.
Yeah, it's going to be bonkers, man.
The other URL that I would suggest people go to is deepmind.google. It shows another level of things that you can create and apps that you can use. I had an opportunity while we were doing development to get the Ultra package of Gemini, and I got to use Genie 3.
That's and Genie 3. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's a literal 3D world creator. So you can create a 3D world from anything, and you can just immerse yourself in it. So it could be a race car from the racer point of view, and it gives you a little world sequence in this 3D space. It's pretty processor intensive. You can prompt it, and it'll take a bit for it to create. But once it's created, it's pretty amazing. The immersive worlds that you can build from it, and I don't know what else you can do with it yet. But you can see. Could you imagine being a game developer now and going, create a cyberpunk city, and then if you can download it and then put your characters in it. I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's the world models is the kind of the next frontier in AI, and I think this is an interesting first go at it, because the way you described it to me was, say, this like ant floating on a leaf going down a river.
Yeah.
When it's generating on the fly. So when it starts, it doesn't know what the river looks like, but as you like go down, it's kind of figuring it out, and then you can look to the left and the right and up and down and see it all, right?
Yeah, it's all 360, so you can spin around. It's like it's building the whole world, not just your point of view and locked to that view.
And I know that this sounds awesome, and it is, but DeepMind was, I think, one of the first. It was around 2010, 2011 that started, and they were acquired by Google a few years later. But that's like the deep research AI branch of Alphabet, which is like Google's parent company. And DeepMind won the Nobel Prize for Chemistry in 2024 for its work on protein folding. I mean, also with some scientists, but that was part of it. And they did AlphaGo, which was the first AI to beat the world champion in the game Go. So DeepMind is really, really, really intense on their AI stuff. It's not just like ants floating down a leaf, even though that's super like a river on a leaf. It's really cool. But
that's how we're using it.
Yeah, that's how we use it.
Well, I didn't want to use all my tokens on creating all. So I definitely would suggest checking that out. I know one of the apps that I used from Google Labs is Stitch, which is a prompt where you can create a quick mock-up of a web page or app, and you can get color palettes, and it's just a really quick way that you can use it. And they have there's not enough time to go over all of the apps, but there are tons of apps you should look at. And the other one I just want to bring up is Opal. You mentioned it before, but it is not a dumbed down version, but it's an easier way to make an agent almost. I feel like you can give it tasks to do in a very simple way. Like, how when you were creating your agent, you were like, it's another level.
Yeah.
Opal makes it attainable to just about, I would say anybody can use Opal. You don't have to be a programmer. It's very easy to use, and you can create your own little Opal that you can develop something. And the one that I've used and I started developing is social media post. So you literally will go in, and there's one that already exists, and it's called Remix. So you can grab the one that already exists, click remix, and then you can modify the instructions. But it's not. I gave it a really easy prompt for new media, but the first initial prompt is basically step one: ask the name of your company, and you literally just put the name of the company, and your action is it goes online and it looks for your company, and then it comes back, and then it'll give you options, and then you're like, yep, this is my company, and then it goes to the next question, and it gives you. And again, this sounds complicated, but it's literally you put one period and you type, search, ask the user their name of their company, and then go online and try to find information about the company. And then you go step two, take that information and you're just in normal text defining what each of these things are.
So that really truly is like a gentle AI, like in our hands.
Yeah, it's definitely, to me, it's a stepping stone to trying to build an agent. If you can do this, it's still node based, so you still input connections, output connections, but it's very basic with layman terms. You don't need any coding at all. It's just, right, someone needs to input something, so you need to put an input node, right? You want an output, so you just put an output node, and you say, do you want a video, an image? And it's just so intuitive. I think that just about anybody can use it. So I just want to mention that as well.
And these are all things that people should go try doing. Like the open, we'll put the links again and they get the immersivelens.com. But that AI studio, even if it's scary, but what else?
It's free.
Yeah, just play. Yeah,
I mean,
low barrier.
Exactly. So, and Gemini is integrated in everything. Most everyone probably has a Google account already, whether you're on YouTube, which is Google. So if you log into YouTube, it's Google, right? So all of these are all integrated. So I 100% would encourage you to go to Google Labs, try all the advantages of Gemini, because it's already integrated in mostly everything you do. Don't you agree?
Yeah. Absolutely 100%. And when you were talking about Stitch, I was like, oh yeah, they also have font.google.com. They own a font CDN. So I was like, there it is. Paul's right. It's like everything's in their verticals.
And we've been using that fonts.google.com before Gemini existed.
It's been around for 9 years.
And it's a web font that we've been using for web development for custom fonts, but that's a whole other category. We're running out of time. And so I think that's all the time we have today. And I just want to say, I am Paul Engen.
I am Dave Gadoo. If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Let's be careful out there, folks.
And share it with a friend or colleague. Until next time, stay curious, stay connected, and thanks for looking through the immersive lens with us.
This episode was engineered by Jeff Kidd with special difficulty of having to bring people in from all over the country.
And I believe Hugh helped in the engineering of this masterpiece, the Digital Dave. This is recorded at Finger Lakes Community College Podcast Studios, located in beautiful Canandaigua, New York, in the heart of the Finger Lakes region, offering more than 55 degrees, certificates, micro-credentials, and workforce training programs.
Thank you to Public Relations and Communications, Marketing, and the FLX AI Hub at FLCC.
Eager to delve into passion? Discover exciting and immersive opportunities at www.flcc.edu. I'm getting good with those 3 W's.
Good job. You're killing it. As a part of our mission at FLCC, we are committed to making education accessible, innovative, and aligned with the needs of both students and employers.
The views expressed in this podcast are those of the hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect the official position of Finger Lakes Community College.
Music by Den from Pixabay.
This is the Immersive Lens.
Brought to you by Number 2 Pencils.
Boom, boom.
Hard sound because I can't do it.
Oh, did I ruin it?
No, you didn't.
By being here?
No, I just can't. I played off my phone and I can't right now.
So, I had a ding happen on my computer and I muted it. And then I didn't realize I muted you, Dave. I was like, why is Dave not talking?
P essay by Google VO.
A pencil is a simple tool.